This is Morten from INKISH. I'm sorry for my voice. You should have thought that it is the last day of Hunkeler Innovation Days, and it's not even started yet, so it will be a tough one. But part of our job here at Innovation Days is to, get a little touch and feeling about how far they are 2 days before the show goes on. And I'm here with Volker, my good friend.
Good morning, Morten.
Good to see
you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good to have you.
Good to have you here. Fascinating booth you have here. And we're going to have a little walkthrough of what is actually going to be shown here, because isn't this the biggest booth you have had ever at Hunkeler Innovation Days?
Yes, it is. In former times we were much smaller, but for the first time we have more like a combined booth together with printing presses of HP and Heidelberg. They run their own booth, but since there is no frontiers and we have a combined solution, it appears like a very large booth here.
And we're of course going to talk about what to see here, but
Absolutely.
I mean, when you work with different vendors like HP and Heidelberg here, that is also what you realize when you're out in the real world, right?
Absolutely. This is what we face these days. That's when we started talking about smart factories. You have combined lines, you have a press from whatever kind of vendor, and then we add the finishing to it. On top of it, we have our workflow solution, and that's the typical use case with clients, yes.
And Connect is the name of your workflow solution, and that basically take all the data, make sure that you have the right impositions, make sure that you have the right sequence of all the signatures and sheets and so on throughout the entire production, right?
That's correct. It's basically a workflow suite where we have the Connex ImpoWiz, which does the impositioning. For instance, on this machine, we impose the files at the Canon booth, and then it's being connected to their Prisma workflow solution.
Okay, so just to understand that, so that basically means that, okay, they get a job in a hall 2.
Yes.
That could, for example, be the Hunkeler Innovation Days daily. And then when they have the data, they basically send the data for Connect to have the precision.
Exactly.
And then back to
back to their Prisma, workflow. That's where they control their press. But we basically do the impositioning. We put the marks on it, we have the barcodes to it, and that makes sure that everything is in the right sequence. So that's like a pre-press application, if you wish.
And when you get these huge rolls of paper back printed, there's like several jobs in one roll, right?
Yeah, on such a roll, as you can see it over there, there's like 100 different jobs, all variable, like your magazine. There is a whole bunch of different things, all barcode driven, because we need to know where to, cut and how to collect the different signatures to each other in order to make a product like yours complete.
And when there's several jobs on this, it can also be different sizes, right?
Yes, different page counts, different sizes, cut length, and variable content.
Yeah. And that basically means that if you're a printing company and you should be wondering, how do I manage several formats? Basically, if you can print to one roll with a Connect, and here's a combined Hunkeler and Müller Martini setup, then you can basically automate almost the entire process.
Absolutely, and this is the first step towards a lights out factory, if you wish, because we need to run such machines with as least personnel as possible, because our clients having a hard time finding the appropriate operators.
If we look at the line here, it's really nice to see. Is there anything new here for Innovation Days, or is that just to show what you can do?
This is to show what we can do. We already had it in our showroom back home in our headquarters here in Switzerland. So basically, it's the Hunkeler unwinding the crosscut into the Heidelberg Stahl folder, where we fold the sheets then after they have been cut, and then into the stitcher and into the trimmer.
Which is actually another thing that I just realized, because we spoke about different printing engines, but you also have different binding equipment here, right?
Of course we have. This is a stitcher for stitched magazines, obviously, and we have a smart book factory over there. If you like, I can walk you over.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that as well. And this is where it starts to look a little bit more complex, right?
This, you're absolutely right. So what happens here is that we have basically two incoming streams. On the right-hand side, you see a cut sheet digital press. This is apparently the Heidelberg Jetfire 50. That's, as I said, a cut sheet digital printing engine. into the Starbook sheet folder. That was the world premiere at Drupa of last year. That's where we built the book block, and this book block is then being transferred into our Vareo Pro Perfect Binder, and that's where we combine the book block with the cover into cooling section and then into the Infinitrim trim robot. By the same time, we do have a web machine, which is apparently the HP Advantage 2200, and then we go into the Starbook Plowfolder, building the book block, and again being transferred into our second Vareo Pro, into the cooling section, and into our Infinitrim trim robot. And now what is very important, you need afterwards to sort the two different streams. That's why we had have a sorting device at the exit of this trim robot.
So that can be, of course, sorted by barcode, but could, in this case, it could also be like the one that is printed on the Heidelberg goes to one box and the HP in the other box.
Exactly, because that takes away a potential for errors, putting wrong books into wrong boxes. Or you could even distinguish between a softcover only book or a book block that it was prepared for a casing inline afterwards. Because that's what we could do on these machines as well.
Just wondering, because I mean, in this case, we have the HP set up doing finished book blocks, right? And we have the Heidelberg doing finished books, basically, right?
Yes.
Are they doing?
No, they do both. They do both finished books.
But they are separate, right? So you cannot take, in this setup, you cannot take the cover from the sheet fed machine and put that on this one for the.
Or well, you could, but that is apparently a manual process.
Okay, so basically, just to understand that whatever is produced on the Heidelberg machine goes to the Heidelberg box.
It goes into the Heidelberg box.
Yeah.
Of course, you could decide differently if you wish, because it's sorted afterwards.
Yeah, smart. Would you say that this setup here, is that to show off what you can do together, or is it also like something that could look like a real life application?
No, we have custom applications out there. They exactly run things like this, or sometimes they go for the next larger perfect binder, but that is what we foresee for a lot of clients now.
That's simply amazing.
It is. Yeah. We are extremely proud of it. Yeah. You heard it from George the other day. He's so enthusiastic about this. We are all, you know.
And I was just thinking that, when people come and see it here, seeing is believing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you have to explain, because as you said before, it's a rather complex setup here. If you explain it, people understand, then the complexity goes away a little bit, but you can see it. I mean, it's a nice setup here.
And it also taking some time to set up, right?
Yeah, my team did it just nicely, as always. With Christoph and the entire team, installation team. But again, then you need to have the interfaces set up. I think that is probably the most challenging part of it, putting together,
because all these
with different vendors and of course that's not an easy call, but I think we mastered that for quite some time now.
And on Monday, when the Innovation Day starts, everything works, right?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, we just tested it, So I'm extremely positive for Monday.
I can't help think about that. If you look at a company like Müller Martini, we talked about it in previous interviews, but I mean, that digital transformation that you are undergoing now and also in the past years, how important is that financially compared to the analog world that you were bigger in years ago?
Well, of course, you see the digital transformation and a lot of analog migrating into digital, print runs shrink in. You have to have the appropriate equipment for that, which we have. So I think we internally mastered the digital transformation as well. And with our current portfolio, I think we are set very nicely. And with Hunkeler's acquisition, we even add applications to it, like transactional, transpromo, and all that. So I think now is the perfect time to really come together.
And it's a little bit more than a year ago that you acquired Hunkeler. How is the integration going on?
Well, I would say it's going on very well. In a lot of countries, we started from January 1st of this year because we've been extremely humble. We didn't want to interrupt anything, and at the very end, the clients shouldn't really feel that things were going on. That's why we had to adopt, had to talk to the people, but now is the time to really, showcase what we can do, and it's working extremely nice. I think you might have, you had the breaking news, Matthias Anaheim joining my team as the head of corporate marketing. I'm extremely happy for him to join my team. It's growing together. I'm really thankful for that, and I'm very much looking forward to having even more power in the field.
Then I have to ask you, Kurt, because that's also another announcement that you told me before about, is that when you start as two independent companies only very near each other, when will you start developing new technology together?
Well, actually, that's what already started. That was probably one of the first things we did. We kind of compared the R&D plans we had. And for instance, the Connex ImpoWiz, the pre-press solution, that will be available for all Hunkeler machines already. So that is a very important thing. And of course, it grows together.
But you also mentioned that there was Müller Martini guy that joined the production team of head of production in Hunkeler, right?
Well, it's the head of R&D, basically a very long Müller Martini R&D design engineer, and he did manage a couple of teams back home in Zofingen, and Hunkeler eagerly needed someone to manage their R&D team, and that's how he got promotion to Hunkeler. So Matthias coming to me, he joining Daniel's team. I think now it really grows together. And then, we had this a couple of times. There are so many people, either on the Hunkeler side or on our side, who had done their apprentices with us or with them, and then, changed from this side of the creek to the other. Christoph Müller is the best example. He did his apprenticeship with us, worked a couple of years with us, moved to Hunkeler, came back, things like this.
Fantastic. All the best with the Innovation Days.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.